Hey, welcome to Her Tales. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? I watched my ex-husband's new wife cut into the anniversary cake I had secretly paid for, while my own children called her Mom. But you need to understand. This wasn't just some petty dinner party gone wrong. This was 3 years of careful planning. 3 years of being treated like I was invisible. 3 years of watching the man who destroyed my life get everything he wanted. Well, I got nothing. My name is Celeste, and I've been carrying this secret for months now. What I did that night. I'm not sure if I'm proud of it or ashamed. But I know one thing for certain, I'm finally ready to tell someone the truth. It started with a phone call. Not from Donovan, my ex-husband, but from his new wife, Imogen. Sweet, bubbly Imogen who had somehow convinced my children that she was their real mother now. Celeste, she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness, I know this might sound strange, but I'd love to invite you to dinner. For the kids, they keep asking why their real mom can't come to family dinners. Real mom. That phrase hit me like a slap. I am their real mom. I'm the one who stayed up all night when they had fever. I'm the one who taught them to tie their shoes, to ride bikes, to be kind to others. But somehow I'd become the outsider. What's the occasion? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Oh, just a little celebration. Nothing fancy, just family. The word tasted bitter in my mouth, but to understand how it got this bad. How I went from being a loving wife and mother to someone plotting revenge at a dinner table. I need to take you back to the beginning. Donovan and I met in college. He was charming, ambitious, the kind of man who could make you feel like you were the only person in the room. We married young. I was 23, he was 25. I thought we'd grow old together. For 10 years, we built what I thought was a beautiful life. We had 2 children, Jasper, now 12, and little Wren, who just turned 8. I worked part-time as a graphic designer so I could be home with them. Donovan climbed the corporate ladder at his marketing firm. Looking back, I can see the cracks forming. But at the time, I explained them away. He worked late more often. He was distant during family dinners. He stopped asking about my day, stopped really seeing me. The first sign something was seriously wrong came on a Tuesday. I remember because Wren had just lost her first tooth, and she was so excited to show Daddy. But when Donovan came home, he barely looked at her little gap-toothed smile. Daddy, look, she said, running to him with her arms outstretched. Not now, Wren. Daddy's tired. That night, I found him in his study, texting someone. When I asked who it was, he snapped his phone shut and said it was work. But I saw the way he smiled at that screen. The way he used to smile at me. I started paying attention after that. Really paying attention. The way he showered as soon as he got home. The way he kept his phone face down during dinner. The way he looked right through me when I spoke. I felt like I was disappearing. Becoming invisible in my own home. The night I discovered the truth, I wasn't even looking for it. I was doing laundry, his laundry, and I found a receipt in his pocket. Dinner for 2 at Chez Laurent, the expensive French restaurant downtown. The same restaurant where he'd proposed to me 11 years earlier. But we hadn't been to dinner together in months. My hands shook as I stared at that receipt. 2 appetizers, 2 entrees, 2 glasses of wine, 1 dessert to share. The dessert we used to share. Chocolate soufflé. I sat on our bedroom floor, holding that piece of paper, and I felt something inside me break. Not just my heart, though that was shattered too. But something deeper. My sense of reality. My understanding of who I was, who we were. That's when I hired the private investigator. Miranda Chen. She was efficient, professional, and she delivered exactly what I expected and dreaded. Photos. Dozens of them. Donovan and a woman I didn't recognize at first. Tall, blonde, maybe 10 years younger than me. They were holding hands, kissing, looking at each other the way Donovan used to look at me. Her name is Imogen Hartwell, Miranda told me. She works in his office, marketing coordinator. They've been seen together regularly for about 8 months. 8 months. While I was helping Jasper with his science project and taking Wren to dance class and making family dinners that Donovan barely touched. He was falling in love with someone else. I confronted him that night. I laid the photos on the kitchen table after the kids were asleep and I said, "We need to talk." He looked at the photos and for a moment I saw something that might have been shame cross his face. But then his expression hardened. "I didn't want you to find out like this," he said. "How long?" I asked. "Celeste, how long, Donovan?" A year, not 8 months, a full year. I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. "I want a divorce," I said. He nodded. "I know, I'm sorry, I really am, but Celeste, I haven't been happy for a long time. I tried to make it work, but but what? I wanted to scream, but I wasn't young enough anymore. But I had stretch marks from carrying his children. But I was too tired from taking care of our family to be the exciting woman he wanted. Instead, I said nothing. I just stared at him, this man I'd loved for 13 years, and realized I was looking at a stranger. The divorce was brutal. Not because we fought over money, though we did, but because of the children. Donovan's lawyer painted me as an unfit mother. They said I was emotionally unstable and unable to provide a stable environment. I was grieving. I was processing the fact that my entire adult life had been built on a lie. Of course I was struggling, but the judge looked at successful, charming Donovan and his stable income and his new girlfriend who was willing to provide a maternal figure, and he decided that 50-50 custody wasn't in the children's best interest. I got weekends, alternate holidays, 6 days a month with my own children. Jasper was old enough to understand what was happening, but he was also old enough to be angry. He blamed me for the divorce, for breaking up our family. He didn't know about the affair. I refused to poison my children against their father, even though he'd poisoned the judge against me. Ren was too young to understand why Mommy didn't live with them anymore. She cried every time I dropped her off at Donovan's new house, the house he'd bought with Imogen. The house that was supposed to be better for the children. If you've made it this far, you already know this isn't just another story. Right now, there are just 20 of us here, but every single subscriber means the world to me. If this story spoke to you, or even made you feel something, I'd be honored to have you join us. Subscribe, and let's keep going together. For 2 years, I watched from the sidelines as Donovan and Imogen played house with my children. They enrolled Ren in a new dance class without telling me. They took Jasper to his first high school football game. They had family movie nights and pizza parties and all the things I used to do, and slowly, my children started to forget me, not completely. They still loved me, I think, but I became the weekend mom. The one who took them to the park and bought them ice cream and tried to cram a week's worth of parenting into 2 days. Imogen became the mom who helped with homework and packed lunches and knew which friends they wanted to invite over. It was death by 1,000 cuts. Each small moment I missed, each milestone that happened without me, each time one of my children mentioned something Imogen had done or said or taught them. The worst part, Imogen was actually nice. She wasn't cruel to me. She wasn't trying to steal my children. She was just there, living the life I was supposed to have. But then came the phone call, the dinner invitation, and something in her voice, some hint of smugness, made me realize this wasn't really about the children at all. "What are we celebrating?" I asked again. There was a pause, then, "Oh, didn't Donovan tell you? It's our anniversary, 1 year of marriage. 1 year of marriage." They'd gotten married exactly 1 year after our divorce was finalized. They'd been planning it the whole time. I thought it would be nice for the children to see that we can all get along, that we're one big happy family now. One big happy family. With me as the awkward outsider, the reminder of Donovan's past, the biological mother who got weekend visits. I hung up the phone and sat in my tiny apartment, the only place I could afford after the divorce, and I felt something dark and cold settle in my chest. I was tired of being the victim. Tired of being the one who took the high road while everyone else got to be happy. Tired of watching my children love someone else more than they loved me. So I said yes to the dinner. But I didn't just say yes. I started planning. I called Chez Laurent, the restaurant where Donovan had taken Imogen during our marriage. I spoke to the manager, a lovely woman named Corrine who remembered me from the old days when Donovan and I used to celebrate our anniversaries there. "I'd like to make a reservation," I said, "for a very special dinner." "Of course, Mrs. Hartwell. When would you like to come in?" Mrs. Hartwell. She thought I was Imogen. Donovan's new wife had taken his name, just like I had all those years ago. I didn't correct her. Instead, I made a reservation for 8 people. I ordered their finest wine, their most expensive menu, and I specifically requested their anniversary dessert, chocolate soufflé, for the table. "And Mrs. Hartwell," Corrine said, "since this is such a special occasion, would you like us to prepare something extra? Perhaps a cake?" "Yes," I said. "I'd love a cake, something that says congratulations on your new family." The night of the dinner, I dressed carefully. I wore the black dress Donovan used to love, the one that made me feel beautiful and confident. I did my hair the way he liked it. I even wore the perfume he'd bought me for our last anniversary together. I looked in the mirror. and for the first time in 2 years, I felt like myself again. Donovan's house was exactly what I'd expected. Large, modern, perfect. The kind of house I'd dreamed of when we were young and poor and planning our future together. Imogen answered the door, and I saw her eyes widen slightly when she saw me. I looked good, and she knew it. "Celeste, you look. Wow, come in, come in." The children ran to me, and for a moment my heart lifted. Wren threw her arms around my waist, and Jasper gave me one of his rare smiles. "Mommy, you look pretty," Wren said. "Thank you, sweetheart. You look beautiful, too." She was wearing a new dress, something I'd never seen before, something Imogen had bought her. Dining room was set for 8, just as I'd requested. But as I looked around, I realized something was wrong. There were only 6 of us here, me, Donovan, Imogen, the children, and Imogen's parents. "Who else is coming?" I asked. Imogen and Donovan exchanged a look. "Well," Imogen said, we thought it might be nice to have a few close friends join us, to celebrate." That's when the doorbell rang. Imogen went to answer it, and I heard voices in the hallway. Familiar voices. Voices that made my blood run cold. She walked back into the dining room, followed by 2 people I hadn't seen in 2 years. My former best friend, Lucinda, and her husband, Marcus. Lucinda, who had been my maid of honor. Lucinda, who had held my hand during the divorce. Lucinda, who had promised to always be there for me. Lucinda, who stopped returning my calls after the divorce was finalized. "Surprise," Imogen said, and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. "I thought it would be wonderful to have all of our closest friends together." I stared at Lucinda, who couldn't quite meet my eyes. "Hello, Celeste," she said softly. You look well." "Do I?" I said. "How would you know?" The room went quiet. Even the children sensed the tension. Donovan cleared his throat. "Why don't we all sit down? Dinner will be here soon." Dinner will be here soon. Of course. They'd ordered from Chez Laurent, the same restaurant where I'd made my reservation, the same restaurant where my surprise was waiting. As we sat down, I realized what this was. This wasn't a family dinner. This was a performance. A show designed to prove that Donovan and Imogen were the perfect couple, the perfect family, that they had everything I'd lost, my children, my friends, my life, and I was the guest of honor at my own funeral. But then the doorbell rang again. Imogen looked confused. "I'm not expecting anyone else." "I'll get it," I said, standing up. "Oh no, Celeste, you're our guest. I insist." I walked to the front door and opened it to find Corinne from Chez Laurent, followed by 2 servers carrying several large bags. "Mrs. Hartwell," she said, looking between me and the house. "We have your anniversary dinner delivery." "Anniversary dinner?" Imogen appeared behind me, looking confused. "Yes," I said, turning to face her. "The anniversary dinner I ordered for our celebration." Imogen's face went pale. I don't understand." "Of course you don't," I said. "You thought you were having a simple dinner party, but I thought, since this is such a special occasion, we should really celebrate properly." The servers began bringing in the food. Course after course of the most expensive items on Chez Laurent's menu. Wine that cost more than some people's monthly rent. And finally, the cake. It was beautiful. 3 layers, covered in elegant white fondant, with "Congratulations on your new family" written in gold script across the top. "The total comes to $2,847, Corinne said cheerfully. "That be cash or card?" Donovan stepped forward. "I'm sorry, there's been some mistake." "No mistake," I said, pulling out my wallet. "This is my gift to you both, my way of saying, congratulations on everything you've taken from me." I handed Corinne my credit card, the one I'd been saving for months, putting aside every penny I could spare from my part-time work and weekend shifts at a local bookstore. "Celeste," Donovan said quietly, "what are you doing?" "I'm being a good sport," I said. "Isn't that what you wanted? For me to be gracious about all of this? To pretend I'm happy watching you live my life with someone else?" We went back to the dining room, where everyone was staring at the elaborate spread now covering the table. "Well," I said, sitting back down, "let's eat." The meal was awkward, to say the least. Conversation was stilted. Everyone kept glancing at me like I was a bomb about to explode, but I was perfectly polite. I asked Imogen's parents about their recent trip to Europe. I complimented Lucinda on her new haircut. I made small talk like the civilized, mature woman everyone expected me to be, and then it was time for the cake. "This is really too much, Celeste," Imogen said as the servers placed the beautiful creation in front of her. "You didn't have to." "Oh, but I wanted to," I said. "I wanted to give you something really special, something you'll never forget." Imogen cut the first slice, and I watched as she and Donovan shared it, feeding each other small bites while my children looked on adoringly. It's delicious, Imogen said. What flavor is it? Vanilla, I said. With a special filling. I watched them eat, watched my children eat, watched everyone at the table enjoy the cake I had paid for. The cake that was supposed to be my revenge, but as I sat there I realized something. This wasn't my revenge at all. My revenge was something much subtler, much more perfect. You see, when I called Shay Laurent, I didn't just order dinner. I also asked Corrine to add something to their customer database. A little note about the special occasion. The anniversary of the Hartwell family, I had told her. They're celebrating 1 year of marriage, and Mrs. Hartwell, the new Mrs. Hartwell, is so excited to be finally having the family she's always wanted. She's been planning this for months. I asked Corrine to make sure the restaurant sent a follow-up email, thanking them for choosing Shay Laurent for such a special occasion. An email that would be sent to the address on file for Donovan Hartwell, the same email address his company used. The same email address that went to his work computer. The email that his boss, his colleagues, and his HR department would see when it arrived on Monday morning. The email that would congratulate him on his new family and thank him for celebrating his anniversary of becoming a father at their restaurant. Email that would make it very clear that Donovan Hartwell had been married and had children before he married Imogen. The children that his company didn't know about. The children he'd somehow forgotten to mention when he applied for his promotion last year. The children he'd claimed he didn't have when he was being considered for the position that required extensive travel. The children whose existence would raise questions about his honesty, his integrity, his fitness for the leadership role he'd just been given. But my real revenge was even simpler than that. As I sat at that table watching my children laugh and eat cake, I realized something. They were happy. They were safe. They were loved. And at the end of the day, that's all I'd ever wanted for them. Yes, it hurt that they called Imogen Mom sometimes. Yes, it broke my heart that I missed so much of their daily lives. But I was still their mother. I would always be their mother. And someday, when they were older, they'd understand. They'd see that I never spoke badly about their father, never tried to turn them against him, never made them choose sides. They'd see that I loved them enough to let them be happy, even when it meant sacrificing my own happiness. That's the thing about real love. It's not about possession. It's about wanting what's best for the people you love, even when it costs you everything. As the evening wound down, I hugged my children goodbye. I love you both so much, I whispered. We love you too, Mommy, Wren said. Even Jasper, my angry preteen, squeezed me tight. See you this weekend. Of course, I said. I'll pick you up at 10. As I walked to my car, Donovan followed me outside. Celeste, he said, I know tonight was difficult, but I appreciate you being here. For the kids. I turned to look at him. This man who had been my whole world for so long. This man who had broken my heart and shattered my life and somehow, in doing so, had forced me to find my own strength. I didn't do it for the kids, I said. I did it for me. He looked confused. I needed to see, I said, if I could sit at a table with you and her and all the people who chose your side and still be myself. If I could be gracious and kind and strong even when everything in me wanted to scream. And could you? I smiled. I just did. I got in my car and drove back to my small apartment. I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my couch, thinking about the evening. Tomorrow, Donovan would get the email from the restaurant. He'd have to explain to his boss why he'd lied about having children. He'd have to face the consequences of his deception. But more importantly, I'd proven something to myself. I'd proven that I could face my worst nightmare and come out the other side with my dignity intact. Proven that I was stronger than I thought. And that, more than any elaborate revenge, was the victory I'd been looking for all along. 6 months later, I got a call from Jasper. Mom, he said, and my heart soared. He hadn't called me Mom in almost a year. Dad lost his job. What happened? I don't know exactly. Something about lying to his company. He's been really stressed out and Imogen's been crying a lot. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I meant it. I didn't want my children to suffer because of my actions. Mom, he said, can I ask you something? Of course. Why didn't you ever say bad things about Dad, even when I was mean to you about the divorce? I took a breath. Because he's your father and you love him. My job isn't to make you choose between us. My job is to love you no matter what. There was a long pause. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I'm sorry I blamed you for everything. You don't have to apologize, sweetheart. You were hurting, we all were. I know you didn't break up our family, he said. I know that now. After I hung up, I sat in my apartment, the same small apartment I'd moved to after the divorce, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I'd lost a husband, a house, custody of my children, and most of my friends. But I'd gained something more valuable than any of that. Gain myself back, and sometimes that's the most powerful revenge of all. The truth is, you can't destroy someone who's already learned to rebuild themselves from nothing. You can't break someone who's already been broken and put themselves back together, stronger than before. I am Celeste. I am a mother. I am a survivor, and I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.